I just also don't look like a home wrecker. Like, I can't imagine some wife being like, that's the girl my husband cheated on with. And it's just like a photo of me doing stand up. Like, something doesn't fit. And I think that that's cool.
Wait, it's not that deep.
Hey, you guys. Welcome back to Not That Deep. I did take a bye week, if you were wondering. I told people that it was strategy based, that the reason that there was no episode that week was to garner engagement, was to network. It was just because I was not able to. I'll be honest, but I think I'm granted that. Don't you think? I came last week or 2 weeks ago now to intro Andrew so that I could put that show episode 3 together, which by the way was a hit. And I honestly would love to have him on again, but I'm amazed at the amount of random people from high school reaching out and being like, "Dana, Andrew, I heard you guys on the podcast. I loved it." And I'm like, "Thank you so much. Are you one of the people that Andrew has run into that he didn't want to talk to on the street?" Like, are you offended by this, or like were you in a poke war with me in 2012? Raise your hand if you've been affected. No, that was so much fun. But so when I came in to do the intro for Andrew, I also thought, why don't I just bang out a fourth episode while I'm here? And I was going to talk about the Olivia Rodrigo concert and all that jazz. But I kind of wasn't feeling my spunkiest self, which I think I talked about. And I didn't want to force it either. I was like, you know what? I'll do it when I get back. And I'm glad that I did because I'm in a much better mood this week. And the thing about moods is they're not always going to be good. And I feel like once a month, obviously, I'm a woman, like I get my periods, but I feel like we do have an excuse. But at the same time, like I will be so mean. And then I'm just praying that I get my period because if not, then I'm just a raging bitch. Do you guys ever feel like that? Women, mainly, I guess, or men that just get a little angry? Like when you're being so mean, like you can tell your hormones are just not working the way they're supposed to. And you're just praying you wake up with a little spotting. Like, by the grace of Mother Nature, please tell me this isn't who I am. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, I am a good person. I'm just menstruating. And the title might be like, am I a cunt or do I just have my period? Because they've taken on such a new form. And I mean, I don't need to be talking about this on a solo episode, but like birth control and all the different methods and all the different forms. I have friends who have had horrible experiences with IUDs, but then friends who have had amazing experiences with it. So it's all different and no person's going to be the same. But I think that every woman can relate to feeling like, am I a bad person or is it just my time of the month? I remember I used to track that shit like clockwork. Like when I first got my period, I was like, it was a very feminine looking app. It had like a daisy for when you got your period and then you could track it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a huge bitch during homecoming and that's fair. Anyways, I am not on my period right now. But like also, it's okay to be in a bad mood. But I think you have to take care of yourself. Like, don't be living your regular life when you're in a horrible mood. I don't think you're going to talk to people the way that you maybe mean to talk to them or do things that the way that you would normally do them. So that's why I'm super happy to be here now, podcasting in l'estudio. I wasn't sure if I wanted a guest for episode 4. A lot of pressure, I will say, for my second guest because Andrew was kind of random of like, it wasn't a celebrity and it wasn't like my best friends. So now number 2, I'm like, the world is my oyster. Like who do I want? But I do have some things in the work. I did not work on that on my bye week. My bye week notes are just like brainstorming, and then it's just a blank page. It's just a video of me drooling, actually. But I've been a lot of places. Also, if you enjoy listening to me, I really appreciate you because I see the analytics. And for example, my episode with Andrew got a lot more listens than my solo episode, my second one. And some could learn from that of my listeners enjoy a guest. But guess what? I like talking to myself. If this podcast has taught me anything, it's that I really enjoy just talking to myself. This obvious realization reminds me painfully of when I wanted to be a doctor in college. I went into Virginia Tech having no idea what I wanted to do. Well, I knew I wanted to party, and that was why I went to Virginia Tech. Everyone was like, "What are you studying?" And I was like, "Burnett's." What? I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to help people. That was my mantra. Like, "Oh, Danny, you're such a good person." No, like I had no idea what this meant. And I thought that the only way to help people was to like be a doctor, which, oh my God, that's Dana. That is quite the way to help people. But that's not made for your brain. And I didn't realize that. I don't think I realized, and I'm not stupid. I'm not calling myself stupid, but I think that my brain works in unique ways, which is a really nice way of saying it's not meant for school. My brain was not meant to study material. It was meant to study stand up material, not book smart material. Do you pick up what I am putting down? So I was taking classes like biology and chemistry and doing horribly in them. And it wasn't as if I loved the material either. I just was, one step closer to helping people. And I was in biology freshman year. In comes a group. Honestly, Jehovah's Witnesses could have come in freshman year and I would have said, I do like that. They're like, "Do you want to help people become Mormon?" And I'm like, "Yes, help, yes." This group comes in and it's called Volunteers Around the World. And it's a bunch of students in the student organization at Virginia Tech. And what they do is they all want to be doctors, ding-a-ling. And then they go to different places, choose a different location throughout the programs. And they go and they give medical aid to underdeveloped areas. And I said, I need to go to that. Now, this is not free. This is not something that I get paid to do. This is something that my poor family needs to pay out of pocket for me to do. Most people are getting internships. Most people are getting jobs. I'm like, "Mom, I need you to pay $5,000 for me to get shipped off to Panama, low-key have a vacation, help people, and also I need 18 pairs of scrubs." She's like, "Say less, Dana, say less." And she really let me live my dreams, and I appreciate that. But I'll tell you what, when my kid is dumb as rocks and tells me they want to be a doctor, we're going to have a talk. We're going to have a talk before I drop buckets. So honestly, I'm so appreciative of this trip because it was amazing. But so I ended up going and everyone there wanted to be a doctor. Like low-key annoying. Doctors are low-key annoying, but also I need those people in the doctoral field because I need people to be competitive. This can't be like a sit back and watch what happens situation, Like you don't want your doctor being like, "Whatever happens, happens." And you're like, "No, like just no." So we go and Panama is amazing. If you ever get the chance to go, you should go. I went to a little place called Bocas del Toro, and in there were different inlets where a lot of different communities lived, and they all spoke Spanish, and I had taken Spanish most of my life. And I wasn't molto bonito at this by any means. Very good for those who don't know Spanish, but it was like eighth grade Spanish that I could grasp. And so I ended up being the communicator. When we would go to these different inlets and visit these different communities, there would be the intake person, there would be the person assessing everyone, getting vitals, providing medication, prescribing things, and then giving like an ultimate diagnosis. And a lot of these people had severe medical problems, and it was incredibly eye-opening to how grateful I am to, as fucked up as our insurance system is, how accessible health knowledge is and how accessible specialists are, because that's something that I never take for granted. But even when I was 18 visiting, Bocas del Toro, I was blown away of women with so many problems with their uterus or stomach problems, or think about every day when you have an illness, you have an answer for it typically. And these people are basically on a deserted island. And it was so nice to be able to connect with them and to play with the kids. And I think about that a lot because these are just fleeting moments for me and for the other. Oh my fucking God. Can I do one podcast without stuttering like an animal? This is a fleeting moment for me and the other volunteers where we go, we put our heart and souls into it. We take photos, we play with the kids. They probably get attached to us, and then we leave. And we got to go back to our lives and have a nice hot meal, and they remain where they are because that's what they know and that's what they do. And I going on these types of trips, I know that I think they have been looked down upon because they are deemed as quote unquote volunteerism. Oh no, voluntourism. That's what people are calling it. Voluntourism. So the whole concept is people are going to these places and just taking photos and showing, the kids with not a lot of accessibilities and not a lot of healthcare, and like showing the world, like, look what I did. And I understand that is problematic, especially because it is just genuinely sad when you leave them. But at the same time, like, I think it's better than not going. You're helping them, you're giving them a ray of sunshine. And I feel like if I had someone on right now, maybe they could argue that with me. But I know for a fact that I really enjoyed my time there, not because I could show people that I enjoyed my time, but that I could connect with people and help them get the care that they needed at that time. My role ended up being the intake person. So I got to meet them, find out their names, play with them, play with their kids, and help them in that way. So I wasn't the medical person. The second they saw me, they were like, you're not stitching anyone up, Dana. And I was like, stitches? That's crazy. And I realized that I just enjoyed connecting with people. Okay, so then I come home. I could do a whole 2-hour episode on Bocas del Toro. What a place. But I ended up coming home, my point being, and I said, Ma, I really like to talk to people, I learned. And she goes, I had to drop $5,000 for you to know that. Like, that is absolutely insane. So then I decided to not be a doctor. And then I went through a bunch of different ideas and majors, but communications was where I ended up. But again, 5K was dropped and will never be returned back. But I had fun. So happy I went on that, obviously. I like to talk to people. I'll have more guests on, don't you fret, but I also do like to talk to myself. But I don't want this to be a very long episode, but a girl's gotta do. And I was just in DC for comedy, and some funny things happened while I was there. But so I also performed down there. It was called DC Comedy Loft. And in the front row were this group of guys. And I have a bit where I start off the joke of, I was told that you're supposed to move the mic stand. It's really good for performance and for showing the audience that you're ready to put on a show and to let them know like it's good etiquette. And then I say it's kind of like bringing a hair tie to a blowjob. And the crowd goes wild every time. It really is like clockwork, and I love it. And I'm learning to pace myself and to not go so fast. But these are things that I've just learned as I've done it. But so I had the inclination to like give the guy in the front row my hair tie. So I gave it to him, and then he's married. And I'm like, dear God, Dana, I want to be a lot of things, and I've wanted to be a lot of things. One of them being a doctor, another one being a criminologist, one of them being a meteorologist, but one of them was never a home wrecker. I just also don't look like a home wrecker. Like, I can't imagine some wife being like, that's the girl my husband cheated on with. And it's just like a photo of me doing stand up. Like, something doesn't fit. And I think that that's cool, because if you have the type of face that says, I will cheat, I will have an affair with your husband, like, you probably are very good looking. And I'm not. But also, like, you're either really ugly. Like, it's two ends of the spectrum, and I'm a 6, so I fall right in the middle of that spectrum. Oh my God. Not that my friends get cheated on a lot, but I love when they show me a photo of a girl that like I know I'm supposed to hate. And I'm like, this girl is going to be a fucking rat. And then I look at her and I'm like, oh no, she is a rodent. Like, she is a rodent on the street. Like, she is a cockroach in the air conditioner. And I'm like, she is just disgusting. But I don't think anyone would do that to me. But so I ended up, the hair tie ended up in the hands of this other guy. So, long story short, we ended up getting breakfast the next morning because we went out with his friends afterwards, and he wasn't there, but we went out with his friends, and then I gave him my number. And I'm just in this like era of being a silly motherfucking goose. And so I gave him my number, and he was not married. I know you are wondering, if I'm going to home wreck, which I'm not, but if I was going to home wreck, I would not go to breakfast. No, I would go for like cocktails. Homewreckers don't meet in the park. Homewreckers meet in the dark. Oh my God, that rhymed. Homewreckers, they don't meet in the park. They meet in the dark. They sketchy as fuck. I'll pick you up in my truck. Homewreckers don't ride in a truck. No, how does no one have a song called Homewreckers? Like, that shit is fire. Anyways, so we go for breakfast. Classic, not wrecking any homes here. And some highlights were, he was really nice. And I think it's really good to get out of your comfort zone when you're dating. I was not dating to marry. I don't think about myself dating to marry. Like, I'm just having fun. And some people don't like that. But some people are homewreckers. Like, we're not going to agree on everything. But my biggest takeaway was he did not know what a bat mitzvah was. And I bet you're wondering, Dana, why was bat mitzvah even brought up on your hour-and-a-half date? Why was this a topic? I feel like it would be so funny to go into a date with like a list of topics that you want to cover, because for me, bat mitzvah culture would be closer to the top of the funnel. Like, okay, what's your name? Where are you from? What was your bar mitzvah theme? And then if he's not Jewish, it's like, let's skip that one. But do you know what a bar mitzvah is? There has to be some bar mitzvah talk. And so the day before was my bat mitzvah anniversary, which has more humor than a serious vibe these days. But I cannot resist telling everyone it was my bat mitzvah anniversary, because the oodles of memories that come out from it are unstoppable. I don't expect a Venmo from anyone on my bas mitzvah anniversary, but some recognition wouldn't kill. But apparently, that's a lot for people. You know who has never forgotten my bat mitzvah anniversary is my sister. My sister has a shit ton of shit on her plate, and she has never forgotten my bat mitzvah anniversary or my half birthday. My sister Kayla is the type of person with every single person that she's ever met or crossed paths with birthday in her calendar. She's got that shit handwritten. Like she is, and it's handwritten because she uses it every year. So it's not, she doesn't throw it out at the end of 2022. It's never ending. Everlasting calendar. Open up inside, take a look inside. Whose birthday is it? Everlasting love. She just knows. And so it was my bat mitzvah anniversary the day before I was out to breakfast. And he said, I'm sorry. So the way I imitate him, it's going to sound like Forrest Gump. So you could listen to that and say, damn, Dana does a really good Forrest Gump impression. Or you could listen to it and think, damn, Dana does a really shitty impression of a guy who's from Raleigh. Take your pick. Oh, it was just my bat mitzvah anniversary. What's a bat mitzvah? Oh, and then I kind of look a little bit confused. And then he says, is that like a Jewish birthday, like a quinceañera? And I'm like, my man is so cultured. He knows what a quinceañera is. And then I actually told him, no, my king. No, my smart Anglo-Saxon king. Bat mitzvah is like when you become a woman, when you get titties. And he loved that. But no, I'm just kidding. I don't actually remember what I said. But I did clog the toilet, which is a nightmare because who wants to clog a toilet? Not I. I never go into the night saying I think it would be fun if the toilet got clogged because of something I did. It was just number one, but it was a small local mom and pop diner. I grabbed the plunger and I was plunging and it didn't go down. And then I was nervous that he was going to go in. So I told him hey, just so you know, I tried to plunge the toilet because I thought I would look like domestic. I tried to plunge the toilet, but it wouldn't go down. And he was like, that's all right. We should just leave. And I'm like, you're a bad person. That would be a fun poll to do if you clog the toilet on a date with pee. Do you tell your date? If you actually like your date and see this moving forward, I would assume that I would not. But because of the sole fact that he did not know what a bat mitzvah was, I knew that we were not going to walk down the aisle one day together. And then I felt safe that this was a safe space to tell him that I clogged the toilet. And he didn't seem bothered by it, but maybe he's on his podcast telling people how disgusting it is. I don't know. I want to quickly touch on my favorite segment of I Digress. And that would be that the Chinese slippers trend is coming back. Do me a quick favor if you're listening to this and just Google. I'm doing it as we speak so that I don't lead you in the wrong direction. Yep, Google Chinese slippers, you guys. So Chinese slippers used to be sold in this boutique weed hemp friendly store downtown in my hometown called Funk and Standard. And I had these shits in every color. I think that, they must be made in China. I actually don't know the history of the Chinese slipper. All I know is apparently they are coming back. And I want to run for the hills because one, I threw away my Chinese slippers. And this is just proof that you should not be throwing away things just because they're out of trend. Skinny jeans, sure, they were out a few years ago. And a lot of body dysmorphic people thought that they were out before then. But now they're coming back. And how focused you are on the trends is definitely a by-person opinion. But Chinese slippers are fucking cute. And I did think they were cute back then. And then they were stopped, kind of like floaties and Crocs. But Crocs kind of had a comeback. Chinese slippers are 100% the shoe of the summer. And I am terrified because I have plantar fasciitis. A lot of athletes get it, and I'm learning that a lot of Jewish people have it. It's a foot thing where like the side of your foot becomes inflamed, and runners will get it. It's from like overuse of your foot. And I'm not a runner, but I am a Jew, and I'm proud of it. And if I was a runner, I would be a proud runner, but I am a proud Jew. So I embrace my plantar fasciitis. I got it this past summer from wearing a flat shoe with no support. If you're listening to this and you plan on wearing these skimpy little Chinese slippers this summer, be careful. Consider yourself warned. These have no back support. They have no heel support, no side support. The things that are supporting the front of the shoe are like mesh and they're fragile. So I digress. But these shoes, I am so upset, are making a comeback right when I'm unable to wear these flat shoes with no support. I had so much fun recording this. It's kind of disgusting. Sometimes I go in with a plan, sometimes I go in with no plan, but regardless, I'm going to have a good time because I don't have my period and I'm with myself. So I hope that everybody has a phenomenal week. I really do. Enjoy the weather. Do something this weekend that makes you happy for yourself. Get outside and take some edibles and laugh with your friends. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to Not That Deep. I'll catch you next time.